A very different kind of mission quietly left the Earth while most of the world focused on routine space launches and lunar projects. In Beijing, engineers guided their most powerful rocket, the Long March 5B, into the sky. Its payload was unlike any publicized mission before it. Officially, the launch was another step in China's expanding deep space program tied to its record of lunar sample returns, the Tianwen mission to Mars, and the construction of a permanent orbital station. But in private channels, in analyst reports, and in the whispers of international intelligence, the story was very different. The trajectory did not match Earth orbit logistics. It pointed outward toward an encounter with a fragment of 3I Atlas, the strange interstellar visitor that had captured the attention of astronomers, defense analysts, and the public alike. 3 Atlas is no ordinary comet. First detected in July 2025, it raced into the solar system at 150,000 miles per hour, too fast to be bound by the sun's gravity, arriving from the direction of LRA. It pulsed with an infrared heartbeat every 4 hours, a rhythm no comet had ever displayed. It emitted radio signals confirmed by independent arrays across the globe. Its trajectory bent in ways orbital mechanics could not easily explain, coinciding with the moment NASA's public feed abruptly went black. Its mass was estimated at over 33 billion tons, far too heavy for its apparent size. And spectroscopic analysis revealed a chemistry dominated by carbon dioxide rather than water ice, alongside metallic alloys and absorption lines never before seen in nature. To some, these findings pointed to the exotic but still natural. To others, it hinted at engineering, at intention, at something that might not be entirely born of stars and dust. When fragments of the object were observed breaking away, the mystery deepened further. Hubble and ground-based observatories reported that certain shards reflected light like refined metals, not raw ore. For skeptics, this was simply a misinterpretation of spectral quirks. For those willing to whisper more daring conclusions, it was as though the object had shed a skin and revealed something built beneath. Whatever the truth, one particular fragment, large, tumbling, several hundred feet across, became the prize. If intercepted before it passed Mars, it might yield answers to questions too profound to ignore. The Chinese National Space Administration moved quickly, drawing on capabilities honed in secret programs. It deployed what some described as Tianshu or Heavenly Hand, a mission designed for capture, not just observation. The probe carried a massive net of carbon nanofiber composite, light yet stronger than steel, meant to envelop the fragment rather than seize it, slowly absorbing its spin until it could be stabilized in orbit around Mars. The plan was daring, even reckless, but it was boldness on a scale that matched the stakes. If Atlas was natural, China would return the first samples from an interstellar comet. If it was more than natural, then the nation that reached it first would command the most significant discovery in human history. For weeks after launch, the mission unfolded smoothly. The Long March 5B placed the probe into transfer orbit. Telemetry from Chinese ground stations confirmed successful burns as it set course for a Mars flyby, using the planet's gravity to slingshot onto a collision path with the fragment. Leaks suggested engineers were optimistic. The window was impossibly narrow, but the mathematics worked. In public, Chinese officials said nothing. No announcements, no triumphant speeches, only silence. The world's astronomers tracked the trajectory and pieced together the obvious. China was attempting the impossible. Then came the blackout. At first, it was dismissed as routine. Deep space probes often passed behind planets, slipping out of line of sight. Solar storms can scramble communication. But this silence was different. According to independent observers, the probe should have re-emerged from occultation within minutes. Hours passed. Then days. No signals returned. No telemetry, no heartbeat, no trace. The spacecraft had vanished. The loss was noted in hushed tones across international monitoring networks. Amateurs with radio telescopes scanned the expected frequency bands, listening for a whisper of the probe's carrier signal. Nothing. European Space Agency analysts cross-checked Mars relay channels, searching for evidence of a successful flyby. Nothing. NASA's Deep Space Network confirmed what others already suspected. The probe was gone. The question was immediate. What happened? The cautious explanation points to failure. Space is unforgiving. The Mars Climate Orbiter was lost in 1999 over a unit conversion error, a simple mismatch between metric and imperial. Beagle 2, Britain's first Mars lander, vanished in 2003 when its solar panels failed to deploy. Japan's NOI never reached Mars after a series of valve malfunctions. Even China's own Zhurong rover went silent after surviving longer than expected in the Martian dust. The truth is that deep space missions are fragile. A guidance fault, a faulty burn, a structural crack in the net assembly. Any of these could have ended the probe. A mission so secretive with such little public oversight might have been rushed, cutting corners that other agencies would not. In this view, the silence is tragic, but not mysterious. The probe failed, as so many others have before it. But another explanation is harder to dismiss. Some point to the timing. Telemetry showed the probe on approach to its Mars slingshot maneuver. It was moments from the precise window that would bend it onto an intercept course with Atlas's fragment. It vanished then, not earlier, not later. A catastrophic coincidence or something else? Speculation grows sharper when tied to what we already know about Atlas. The thermal pulse every 4 hours repeating with machine-like precision. The narrowband radio bursts recorded by FAST in China synchronized with those pulses. The orbital deviations coinciding with NASA's feed blackout, the mass so large it strains comet models. If these anomalies are natural, then Atlas is the strangest comet ever documented. But if they are not, if they are engineered, then what happens when human technology draws too close? Did Atlas destroy the probe? Did it emit a surge of radiation or a directed pulse that disabled it? Was the silence an accident of engineering? Or was it an answer? Chinese officials remain silent. State media has not acknowledged the mission. Leaks from the astronomical community inside China suggest that ground controllers received anomalous telemetry in the final moments, a spike in radiation, unexplained current fluctuations before the signal vanished. None of this has been confirmed, but in the absence of data, whispers fill the void. The international response is divided. NASA and ESA have tightened access to their telescope feeds, citing planetary security. To some, this is prudent caution. To others, it is containment, an effort to control the narrative. Meanwhile, China's silence leaves room for speculation to bloom unchecked. Analysts in the West wonder if the probe was deliberately destroyed by its own operators to prevent technology from being captured in case of failure. Others suggest it succeeded in its mission, capturing the fragment and parking it in Martian orbit, with silence imposed to secure secrecy. If that's true, then somewhere beyond our sight, orbiting the red planet, is a fragment of 3Y Atlas enclosed in a net, studied in private while the rest of the world waits in ignorance. Yet, the darker possibility refuses to fade. That Atlas itself is not passive. The repeating pulses, the coordination across thermal and radio wavelengths, the unexplained trajectory shifts. Taken together, they paint the outline of something deliberate. If so, then the disappearance of the probe may not be failure, but encounter. The first encounter between human technology and something interstellar, and the result was silence. The cultural weight of this moment cannot be ignored. For millennia, comets have been read as omens. Ancient Chinese astronomers recorded broom stars as warnings of dynastic change. Babylonian priests read them as harbingers of upheaval. Medieval Europe embroidered them into tapestries as signs of conquest and doom. Today, the omens are digital, not fiery tales across the sky, but blackouts and telescope feeds, bursts of radio noise captured in massive dishes, and now the disappearance of a probe sent to touch what may not want to be touched. The language has changed, but the unease remains the same. If the probe is gone forever, then humanity's first attempt to seize an interstellar fragment has ended in failure. If it survives in silence, then its fate is hidden behind walls of secrecy. And if it was destroyed, then we must confront the possibility that Atlas is not only strange but active, capable of interaction. Each scenario carries its own weight. The scientific community remains careful. Many argue for restraint. Plasma interactions with solar wind, exotic chemistry dominated by carbon dioxide, crystalline ice structures that fracture in rhythmic patterns. All of these could produce electromagnetic anomalies. Nature can mimic intention. Probes are lost all the time. Correlation is not causation. Yet even the cautious must admit no comet has ever produced such a list of contradictions. No comet has ever carried the weight of so many anomalies clustered together. And no comet has ever been the site of a mission that vanished at the moment of closest approach. Geopolitics sharpens the edges. Whoever touches Atlas first, if it can be touched at all, secures not only scientific prestige, but potentially technological advantage. If the fragments truly contain refined alloys, as some spectra suggest, then this is not just discovery but acquisition. The race is not only for knowledge, but for power. The silence around the Chinese probe, intentional or accidental, leaves rivals guessing. Did China succeed? Did it fail? Did it awaken something it cannot control? For the public, the story unfolds in fragments and whispers and leaks and archived telescope images and rumors from inside closed-door sessions of the Chinese Academy of Sciences. For every cautious explanation, there is a bolder speculation. For every reminder that probes often fail, there is the undeniable record of anomalies that stretch coincidence to the breaking point. What is certain is that 3 Atlas continues its path. Its perihelion is approaching. Its mass and chemistry remain unexplained. Its pulses continue to be logged, steady as ever. And somewhere, perhaps in orbit around Mars, perhaps in fragments scattered across space, lies the truth of what happened to the Chinese probe. If it was destroyed, then Atlas has shown it is not inert. If it was captured, then China holds the most extraordinary artifact in human history. And if it was simply lost, then humanity must admit its reach exceeded its grasp. The silence speaks louder than words. The question that remains is not only what Atlas is, but what kind of story humanity is writing in its first attempts to reach beyond its own star. The disappearance of the probe is more than a technical failure. It is a moment in which the old omens of comets find new form. A moment when the unknown did not simply drift by, but answered in silence. And as 3 Atlas moves ever closer, the world is left to wonder, was this our first contact or our first warning?